What's up, fight fans? It is your boy again, Noah, here to give you this week's edition of the Countout. We're just gonna get right into it because this week it was interesting. This was the build up, go home week to Backlash. So we just gonna kick it off with number 10, my boy. Well, he's not my boy, but Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin came out this week on this edition of SmackDown, expressing to the fans that he was very excited to be able to inflict all the pain that he's thought about inflicting on Madcap Moss, because he just thinks that Madcap is the reason for his downfall in the past couple months. But it was not too long before he would be interrupted by Madcap Moss himself, who was in the back ranting off, jokes. His gimmick. He's gonna give off all the worst jokes, deliver all the worst jokes that he can. This week's worth of jokes was not that bad. He said that he looked like he was gonna audition for a Pitbull cover band, whatever that means. But the jokes weren't that bad. I especially like the one where he said all of his tattoos looked like artists just called him up to put their worst ideas on them, which was very, very clever. That was a very clever joke. I chuckled a little bit. As somebody with tattoos himself, you know what I mean? I could only relate. And he even said that it looked like Hot Topic, vomited on his chest. That was funny as shit. But Baron Corbin was like, I see that you stoop to the comfort of the back. Why don't you come back and, why don't you come into the ring and say those jokes to my face? And, Madcap ain't no bitch. You know what I'm saying? Madcap got disrespected by this man. He not afraid of him. He wants to inflict as much pain on Baron Corbin as, as much as Baron Corbin wants to inflict pain on him. So he came out there and spit some more jokes. You know what I mean? And, he was just listing off all the failed gimmicks that Baron Corbin has portrayed in his career with the WWE. And he crossed one sensitive line of Baron Corbin's where he told him, you could go back to the lone wolf gimmick, but the problem is wolves have hair. And, Baron Corbin is bald. And he went on to say that Baron Corbin could be the big bald wolf, which is very corny, but it'll get the crowd going if you deliver it the right way. And he did just that, and Baron Corbin was super salty, and he left because he did not want to be the butt of all the jokes. Poor Baron Corbin. He ain't never gonna get it right. He will always just be universally hated. But going on to number 9, and that is NXT, in a very physical, and I mean physical bout between the Creed brothers and the Viking Raiders. And I do mean physical. I mean, they dropped Big Ivar on a superplex. That's something that'll make the ring collapse. But yeah, whatever. But like I said, very physical. It was a great match. Very great match. The Creed brothers are one of the hottest tag teams, not just NXT, but in the entire WWE right now. They just continue to put on amazing performances with a jaw-dropping skill set. And, when you put them up against another physical team that has, every capability in the world to also put on a fantastic match, and that's the Viking Raiders, you're going to create gold. But this week, the Creed brothers got a little assist from an assailant. I don't know who this man is in this black hoodie. Oh wait, yes I do. It's Roderick Strong. And the reason why this segment, this match, this moment ended up on this week's top 10 is because there is ongoing dissension amongst the Diamond Mine. And Roderick Strong has been giving everybody hell. So much so that Malcolm Bivens walked out. I.e., he got fired by the WWE. Not kayfabe. He actually got let go from the WWE. Anyways, Roderick Strong felt the need to, help out his crew, his Creed brothers. Eric got decked with a clothesline, one of those seated clotheslines, and the Creed brothers would pick up their victory, much to the chagrin, though, of the Creed brothers, who pretty much telling Roderick Strong, like, we don't win this way. I don't know what the fuck you're doing. I don't know what's gotten into you, but we didn't need your help. We don't want your help. We want to win the right way because we're tough and we don't need help to win. We can do it cleanly. And, Roderick Strong would pretty much rant off to them and, criticize them and let them know, like, look, I saved your ass. A win is a win. Just take that shit and shut the fuck up. But we will continue to see in the coming weeks the slow burn into the eventual blow up between the Diamond Mine and a full face turn for the Creed brothers. And hopefully they'll be called up soon, because their style of wrestling and what they can do inside the ropes is going to be very well needed when they get called up to the main roster, because the main roster, while they have a decent tag team division, it just seems like they lack the attention and they don't give them the time to succeed. And so the Creed brothers, I don't know, might be able to help swing that and shift it into a new direction to give the tag teams a little bit more time and a little bit more attention. But we'll see. Moving on to number 8, though, the debut of Nathan Frazier against Grayson Bum-Ass Waller. I like Nathan Frazier's first match. I like what I saw. I'd never heard of him before this week. Never seen him in the indies. But he put on quite a showing. It wasn't the match that made the countout, though. At the end of the match, Nathan Frazier looked like he was going to go for a Spanish fly off the top rope on Grayson Waller. However, he got pushed off the top rope, left Grayson Waller up there on his lonesome. However, you can't see them in the crowd, but Chase U was right in the front row with a blowhorn, and they blew it. And I don't know how the fuck it caused Grayson Waller to fall off the turnbuckle, but it did. And he hit the rope, and who was climbing up the turnbuckle was Nathan Frazier, who dropped one of the most beautiful Phoenix splashes I've ever seen. The move, the Phoenix splash, made it on to this week's edition of the Countout. I told y'all moves can make it on there too, and that shit was crisp. I know these pictures don't do it any justice. It doesn't do it any service. So you should definitely go on to YouTube and look that shit up, because it was absolutely fantastic. Nathan Frazier won his debut against Grayson Waller, and the future is looking kind of bright for him. Yes, it is. But we're going to move on to number 7. On this past edition of Raw, we saw Asuka, Liv Morgan, and Bianca Belair face off against Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch, and Sonya Deville. Now, the match was pretty good. Spoiler alert for anybody who didn't see it. Asuka, Bianca, and Liv would go on to win that match. But just like the last moment, this is not on the countout for the match. It's for the move. Now, toward the end of the match, Asuka is going to run off the rope to the apron, give Sonya Deville one of those hip thrusts off the apron, and guess who was waiting for Sonya Deville on the outside? It is Liv Morgan, who drops Sonya Deville with a code breaker like move. Again, the photos do not do this shit any justice. You need to look it up on YouTube because it was beautiful and it looked like it hurt it. It flowed very well. Flowed very, very well. Something you don't really see a lot. And so I thought I would highlight it this week on this edition, of the Countout. But we're going to move on to number 6. On this week's episode of SmackDown, The New Day would face off against Ridge Holland and Sheamus in a tables match. When is the last time that they had a tables match on television for you to watch for free? I'll wait. Exactly. Anyways, it was a pretty decent match. Spoiler alert. Butch climbed up from under the ring like Hornswoggle and interfered in the match. You know how he does. He's a rowdy little rascal. He beat the shit out of Xavier Woods and Kofi and allowed enough distraction to give Ridge Holland and Sheamus the victory. Spoiler. Why? Because again, this is on the count out because of the move. What happened during this match? Sheamus was about to hit Xavier Woods with a white curse. Oh, not white curse, damn it. The Irish curse on the apron. But Kofi came to the rescue and saved his boy. And to take out Sheamus, Kofi went to the platform that holds the turnbuckle. And he cross bodies Sheamus off of that thing into the barricade. Like that, it was smooth. It was high, and he connected that shit. And that was probably one of the that was one of the oh my god moments of this week in WWE. I mean, whenever Kofi does these high risk moves, it's always a work of art. It's always poetry in motion, and it just added to the extreme of this tables match this week. Again, go check it out. We're going to move on to number 5, though. This past week's edition of NXT Spring Breakin', Braun Breaker would defend his NXT Championship against Bray Wyatt Jr., a.k.a. Joe Gacy. Yeah, Bray Wyatt Jr. For anybody who didn't watch last week's edition of the Countout, he is officially Bray Wyatt Jr. In here at the Take It to the Ring, with the Take It to the Ring crew, we give out nicknames. Joe Gacy got Bray Wyatt Jr. Anyways, as you can see, Braun Breaker picked up the victory to retain his NXT Championship. And, everybody thought that he would just go home happy. He redeemed himself. He redeemed his father. He redeemed his family. And he seemingly put it into Joe Gacy. He was wrong. If you look into the corner of that picture, you see one of those Undertaker druids smacking the shit out of Braun Breaker with that chair. This was after the cameras went off. So all of this is off air. If this is new to you, that's okay, because nobody saw that shit on TV. These druids are super athletic, and clearly they are trained independent wrestlers who were brought in to play this damn things. And they hit Braun Breaker with like a magic killer type thing on a chair. And that shit looked like it hurt. It definitely knocked out Braun Breaker. And Joe Gacy's crazy ass had the druids put him on one of these like 1940s stretchers. One of those 1940s gurneys. You know what I mean? It's some weird shit. But it's giving real Undertaker vibes. But it's just Bray Wyatt Jr. You know what I mean? They just picked him up and carried his ass out. Joe Gacy's a wonky motherfucker, yo. And I know he's been on the count out for the past couple weeks, but like anything he does just catches my eye. Even if it does seem like it's a little bit of a ripoff. You know what I mean? Like it's already been done. Like I've already seen it before. It's still kind of eye-catching. But we will see You know, we'll find out the status of Bron Breakker next week. Hopefully he's fine. This does not spell the end of this feud, though, clearly. And I think I might want to be done with this feud after the next match. So yeah, good luck, Bray Wyatt Jr. If you win the NXT Championship, it'd be great for you. Not gonna lie, I would like to see him with it. But we're gonna move on to number 4 on this week's edition of Raw. The first segment, I believe. The Bloodline paid a visit to enemy territory on Raw. And, you know, Paul Heyman is introducing his boy and his cousins. And as Roman is about to, you know, or not about to, as Roman delivers his, you know, spiel every week, telling whatever city he's in to acknowledge him, out of the blue, I'm sorry, not out of the blue, out of nowhere, RK Bro comes in and drops the Usos with RKOs. Out of nowhere. Not out of the blue. Out of nowhere. And so, guess who comes out to follow suit and get their piece in on the Bloodline? It's Drew McIntyre with his squad. He stomps down to the ring, and him and Roman Reigns get into it, you know, trading back and forth. However, I don't know where the Usos came in from, because RK Bro was just sitting in the ring. You know what I mean? They weren't. It wasn't like they were touched. They just gave an RKO and that was it. Maybe RK Bro is they're just not good watchmen at all. Because how do you allow that to happen? But anyways, they were there for Drew's follow-up, and bedlam ensued. So much chaos that it had to be broken up by the producers, and it was cut off just like that. And I prematurely went to number 3, and that is the visionary, Seth Rollins. And look at this shot right here. Doesn't he look very Messiah-like? I can't say Christ-like because that's blasphemous. I love my Lord and Savior, and I ain't gonna do that. But this week, I guess Seth was a little jealous that Randy Orton got a little tribute and, you know, a whole hoorah and shebang about his 20th anniversary being on the main roster. You know, Randy got a whole week. So Seth felt the need to come out and, you know, have a self-proclaimed Seth Rollins appreciation night. And, you know, I ain't mad at that. I mean, he's carried this company, or he's been one of the guys to carry this company for the past 7 years. So, you know, he can do what he wants. And just when he was about to, you know, go point up to the Titantron and tell him to play his montage and his tribute video, out comes Cody Rhodes instead of the video. And of course, Seth is pissed because he's always like, why is your nose always in somebody's business? Why is it always somewhere where it should not be? And so Cody pretty much foreshadowed what was going to happen for the rest of that promo. And he was like, look, I know what's about to happen, and I think you're about to step across a line that you don't want to cross. And he pretty much called him delusional. And so Seth took exception to that. And he was like, I know you're not fucking talking about me being delusional. And he said some disrespectful shit about the deceased Dusty Rhodes. Yeah. He said that Dusty was fucking delusional, which is crazy. And, you know, when you say some shit about somebody's dead father, what do you think is going to happen? Yes, of course. There's going to be fist thrown, and there's going to be a fight that breaks out. And Cody wasn't rocking like that. He was just like, you're not about to disrespect my pops like that. And so they got into it. And at the end of the segment, Cody hits a Cody cutter in a suit. That's very impressive. I know they fight in suits, but you doing high-risk maneuvers off the rope in your suit. Don't nobody do that shit. And did it clean too, with the jacket on and everything. He still had the full piece, and he hit him with a Cody cutter. But this was the lasting image of that segment. Moving on to number 2, we got Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair came out this week on Long Island, New York, on this edition of SmackDown. As she came out, spoke some things about Drew Gulak, spoke some things about Rondy, pretty much saying that she was gonna fuck her up at Backlash. And anybody who steps in front of Charlotte, she was gonna make them she was gonna make them an example of what she was gonna do to Rondy. And so this week, Charlotte had a scheduled match with Aaliyah, and she was just like, look, Aaliyah, I'm sorry that you're in this position, but I have to show the people at home, I have to show the people here, and I have to show Ronda what I'm going to do to her, and I'm going to use you. And so Charlotte ambushed Aaliyah and was beating the shit out of her. But a certain somebody was not going to let that rock. And out comes Ronda in this. I hate her fucking run. I hate her run. And the videos don't do it any justice. But this shit is stupid. Anyways, she's got this slow, like broad shoulder. Like if Vince McMahon could run, that would be how he would run. But we're not going to talk about how people run. Anyways, Ronda came out, and of course, fisticuffs happened. And, they went back and forth, just brawling all across the ring, all across the concrete. And it got so bad that some producers had to get involved. Some of the officials had to get involved. But not only was this so chaotic that it landed on the top of this list, as you can see, bodies piling up on top of each other, and the producers and the refs still trying to break them apart. There was a certain cameo that boosted this segment up the list. For all my OG WWE fans, and when I say OG, I'm talking about like 05, 06. Does that face look a little familiar to you? I don't know if you guessed it at home, but if you did, you're absolutely fucking right. That is Daivari. And I was so shocked that I had to look it up. And I was like, oh shit, Daivari is back with the company. That is absolutely crazy. But Daivari made it on screen. Too bad he got kicked in the fucking face by Charlotte. But that shit was crazy. Not only did the chaos and everything that happened surrounding, Ronda and Charlotte is what made this go on, this high on the list, but an unlikely, surprising cameo from an OG, Daivari. That shit helped this get up to number 2 on the list. Speaking of cameos, we are going to number 1 on this week's episode of Monday Night Raw, in a match pitting Damian Priest against AJ Styles, where the stipulation was that if AJ beat Damian would be banned from ringside at Backlash in the match between Edge and AJ. This was a very physical back and forth match where both guys pretty much pulled out all the stops and they dug deep into their arsenals and their move sets, and they just could not get each other. They couldn't put each other away. Styles went to look for a calf crusher, but Edge attempted to be of a distraction to help his stablemate Damian Priest pick up the victory. However, it was very unsuccessful, and AJ Styles got the roll up, maybe got a little bit of tights, couldn't see from this camera angle, but he picked up the victory. And soon after the third count of the ref, Edge came in and started beating the shit out of AJ because he was so pissed off, and he hates AJ for, whatever reason. Him and Damian Priest were about to deliver a concerto to AJ's injured shoulder. However, an unlikely ally came to AJ's defense. That is right. The Prince, Finn Balor, came to AJ Styles' rescue. Now, Finn Balor has had his issues with Damian Priest in the past few weeks, which makes a little bit of sense why Finn would come out to, defend AJ. And also for all the hardcore wrestling fans, everybody understands that AJ and Finn have some history well outside of the company. Maybe by like a certain club. I don't know. I just know they were part of a club. But you can see Finn Balor lay out Edge. He laid out Damian Priest with a sling blade a few moments before this. And they cleared out the ring together. And Finn Balor successfully came to the aid of AJ to stop some catastrophic shit from happening to AJ. Because that shit would have crushed his shoulder, definitely. But to end out this segment was the iconic Too Sweet gesture amongst two Bullet Club members, two former Bullet Club members, and honestly, two of their former leaders, actually. Yeah. But nevertheless, this was a great week for the WWE as a go-home week for WrestleMania Backlash. I enjoyed this week. You let me know in the comments if this week was good. As always, though, the official Noah has counted it out. It is over. Again, like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know if something should have been higher on the list. Let me know if there's should have been something lower on the list. I'm all about debate. This is all opinionated. Please. I love that type of interaction. Follow us on Instagram at TTR Wrestling. The banner has been going on the whole show. Follow us at The All Real Crew on Instagram. We're on every weekend, Saturday at 6:00. Follow us on Twitter. Take it to the ring. We're starting to get active on that again. The All Real Crew Twitter should be coming up soon. So stay tuned for that. But other than that, guys, this is the Countout, and I'm out.